Hi, my name's Caylee. I'm 21 and I study Christian Studies at Liberty University. Mental illness was something that I struggled with most of my life. What started with anxiety in elementary school quickly escalated to depression in middle school. My battle with depression felt unbearable and never ending. Fast forward to August 2021, my life I was a junior in high school, and my life finally started to feel happier. I had just gotten into a relationship, and I had a pretty good group of friends. One night, though, we were at a party, and I ended up alone, and one of my best friends at the time had come over and attempted suicide in a very gruesome way, 5 feet in front of me. So because of that, I replayed the image of that night over and over and over again, and I couldn't get it out. And so the trauma of that was unbearable. So at the time, the best way to cope was to cling on to my then boyfriend, and I put him on the pedestal of my life. My identity and worth was shaped around him, everything him. So if he was happy, I was happy. If he was sad, I was sad. It became very toxic. After a few years, though, we broke up, and all of the trauma that I tucked away came flooding to the surface. And because of that, I felt abandoned, alone, and I just felt like no one cared. My mind was split between I didn't even believe that God was real, but if he was real, I hated him because of the things that I felt he was putting me through. And so I developed an eating disorder, and I lost 50 pounds. I became addicted to pills, certain pills and substances, to the point where I was never sober. And I found my worth in guys and sex. And because the result of that was I contracted a sexually transmitted disease that I was going to have for the rest of my life. I was convinced that no one was ever going to love me after that. So I thought my best option was to take my own life. And so the night of November 10th, 2024, as I was sitting there thinking about how and when I was going to do it, I had a small thought in the back of my mind say, there was one more option that I hadn't tried yet. And so in that moment, I closed my eyes and I called on Jesus. And it was in that moment, for the first time, that I truly realized that I was a sinner in need of a Savior. And that the hole in my heart that I tried to fill with everything else, I was never able to, and that the only person who could was Jesus. I was obviously sobbing and begging God to forgive me of all my sins. And in that moment, God flooded me with a sense of peace that I'll never be able to describe. The peace, as it was flowing through my body, my eyes were closed, and I was overcome with like this bright light, and I saw a hand come down. And ever since then, I knew that God saved my life physically and spiritually, and my life hasn't been the same since. He freed me from all of the mental illness and addictions that I was chained to. And he gave me a new heart and identity that's rooted in who he says I am. And he didn't give me what I actually deserved, but instead he gifted me with everything that I don't deserve. And so for that reason, I love and follow Jesus. And a message or a takeaway that I want people to hear from my testimony is that you're never too far gone. People say that all the time, and I used to roll my eyes when people would say that, but it's genuinely true. I didn't clean myself up for Jesus. He actually met me at my darkest, most vulnerable moment, and saved my life and turned it around completely. So, yeah. that's my testimony.